My name is Bowen. I've been here in Aberdeen for the last 32 years. Moved up here to join the oil business back in the mid-70s and joined BP. During my time with BP, I worked as a drilling engineer and as a well service engineer and as a production engineer. Did quite a lot of time offshore working on rigs and platforms in the North Sea. I also went to Canada for 1 year posting, where I was shore based, but that's been the extent of my overseas work with BP. But I've always been at the sort of practical end of engineering. I've not been so much as a theoretician, more a practical hands-on. So the tools always interested me, the equipment, the techniques, and getting my hands on the job, just like oil riggers, you know, get your hands dirty. Then in late 2003, my leg started acting up, and I went to see the neurologist, who looked at me and tested me and said, don't know quite what's wrong. So anyway, I just lived with that, and I found I had to put a brace on my leg because my left foot was dropping, so you needed a brace just to hold it in place. I think it must have been early 2006. I noted that the right foot was now doing the same thing as the left, so my right foot was dropping as well. So I went back to the neurologist and said, something's changed. So he did more tests, and then right at the end of 2006, he diagnosed the fact that I had motor neurone disease, which, to be honest, I kind of half expected because my father had motor neurone disease 12 years previously, and he died of it, in fact. So I kind of thought that was where I was going. So when I was diagnosed, although it was a shock, it wasn't as big a shock as it might otherwise have been. Having motor neurone disease results in the nerves that control my muscles gradually stopping working. So therefore the signal doesn't get from my brain through to my legs, to my arms, to my hands and so forth. So what this means that over a period of, in some cases for some sufferers, only months, but in my case over several years, has resulted in the fact that my muscles become gradually weaker. There's nothing wrong with the muscles as such, but the muscles themselves aren't moved by the nerves, and because they're not moved, they therefore atrophy and they waste away. Some MND sufferers end up with arms that don't work to start with. Some sufferers find that it's the throat muscles, the lungs, anything that moves basically, not your heart muscle funnily enough, but just about all the other motor muscles that you have in your body gradually stop working. And the net result is that you become increasingly paralysed. The people who have problems with the throat obviously are the people who tend to suffer the most, because you can't eat properly, you can't drink properly, and you can't breathe properly, and you can't talk. And losing the power of communication, I think, it's the worst aspect of MND. And there are many people with MND that have exactly that happen to them. When John Turnbull of BP contacted me and asked me about whether I could put my name to the charity cycle ride that they were preparing to do across Scotland, I was really surprised, and I was very chuffed actually. It was a great thought to me that he was thinking of me as an MND sufferer and Steve Morrison as an MS sufferer, because we've both been with BP for many years. We knew John before when we used to work there. We know many of the people who were on the cycle ride, and to my way of thinking, I was just very keen to support the charity because it just seemed such a worthwhile thing. The value of supporting these charities is tremendous, because at the moment MND and MS do not have cures. There's no way you can fix it. All you can do is to try and live within it. And this is what the charities do. They support people who have MND and MS, they support the carers that look after them, and perhaps crucially from my point of view, they also support research efforts into finding cures. Because at the end of the day, what's going to stop these sorts of diseases is to find something that will actually cure us. Right now, we know we've got it, we know we have to live with it, and our hope is that we live as long as possible with it. But that's the only control we've got. What we need is a cure. And that's what I'm hoping this charity and this sponsorship effort will kind of bring her out here. It's just fantastic. I don't know. I can't say it. It's just such a great idea that people are willing to put their money towards something like this, and the cyclists are willing to sweat themselves for the 3 days and nights across Scotland doing it. I'm very impressed and really pleased. So please, just sponsor us, please.